yes, we moved to the Hunter when I was 10 after a bit of a nomadic trip around Australia. But it was always a very artistic child, so did well all through school and got into uni to do, I can't even remember what the course was, but I just couldn't face another 4 years of study. So I wanted to do something in the arts area. So I got into art college in Sydney, and which was even further away from my town in the Hunter. And I was keen to get far away. I'd had enough of country life at that point. So yeah, my art teacher helped me put together a bit of a portfolio, had an interview, and yeah, got in. So moved there to study graphic design and see the big bright lights after living in the country. What's on moving interstate? They were mixed actually, because I absolutely loved living on the coast. Like, we were a block from the beach. We'd go to the beach almost every day, all year round. But my husband had already been working away. He'd been down to wind farms in Goulburn, and he was over here working somewhere near Burra, I think. And we'd been to Alice Springs. He flew from Adelaide, I flew from Sydney, and we met up in Alice for this wedding. And it was flying back alone on the plane and just thinking, you know, I could go back to country life again. We had one daughter in high school. Youngest son was in the middle son last year of primary, and youngest one about to start school the following year. So when I got home, I rang my husband and said, what do you think if we moved over to be where you are? And he said, oh, would you want to do that? And I said, I think it'd be good, really good for the kids. I can handle it. You know, he said, you've never been here. Maybe you should come and have a look first. And I said, no. And I asked where we would live, and he said, I'm working closest to Jamestown, but there's Clare, which you'd probably really like. And I said, well, which is the closest for you for work? And he said Jamestown. So we just decided on Jamestown. Sight unseen, I agreed. And then I got on Google Maps and had a bit of a walk down the main street. And they must have filmed that in the middle of summer when it was so dry and desolate. And I thought, oh my God, what have I agreed to? But anyway, that was September, and we moved January 18th, the following, 2010, the following year, a few months later. So yeah, I was excited at the thought of something different, something new. I was very excited for the kids. Having grown up in a country town myself, I knew that they'd have a really good time, but yeah, really torn about. I made a promise to myself when I left the Hunter and I moved to Sydney that I would always live near the ocean after that, because I was sick to death of bush. And yeah, I had done all those years until I decided we could move here. Although the ocean, you know, it's not that far away, but it's not the same as the East Coast beaches. Don't tell that to anyone in South Australia though. Yeah. Alrighty. Initially that was a little tough because I gave myself a week to get the kids sorted in school, and then I started up my business, which was a food van out at the wind farm. So I was up at 4:30 every day and out the door, and home in time to pick up the kids. Not that they needed picking up, but to, you know, meet them after school. So I was exceedingly tired and did not have energy to do anything pretty much after that in the evenings. But I was also isolated out there, and I met all the men, and I didn't really get to meet anybody, even the kids' friends, for that first 12 months. Not really. But after that, after the wind farm site finished up, I finished up with the van, and yeah, just through the ages of my three children, and a lot of them, my eldest one, a lot of her friends, their younger siblings were the same ages as my next son. So I was seeing the same parents, and, you know, got to know a lot of the wives and became friends with lots of them through that. Made steps to join a few committees and get involved with the kids' sports. So through futsal and coaching with that and team management. I got onto the swimming pool committee. Kids were very involved in swimming. So just through that, swimming every Friday night, there was a carnival. So you're seeing the same families and you're getting to know them. And I think they'd all, when you move to a small town, people know you're new, obviously, because you stand out. And so they all knew who the kids were, but there was this, you know, long lost mother that they hadn't laid eyes on for the first year. So after that, they were putting it all together. Oh, this is Maddie and Josh's and Jack's mum, and they'd come and say hello as well. So just through the kids. I think if I didn't have kids, it would have been a little struggle. I guess you have to make steps to join little other groups, and, it's possibly a lot harder. But all those years ago, that was the easiest way. And yeah, still friends with all those people. Well, so my eldest daughter, she's in Adelaide now. She did move back to Sydney, but she's in Adelaide and she's very settled, got a great job. The next two, like my boys, the one who's now 25, when he left school, he didn't really know what he wanted to do. And he was offered a job with a wind farm company that was just out at Hornsdale here. So he took the job, and they said to him, we'll probably be 12 months here before we move on. But it was only about 6 months in, they got a new contract to go back to New South Wales. And my son, he was a little panicked about that. He didn't really want to go, but we said, just go. You can always come home, but go and see what's out there. Go with them. So he was gone 5 years, and he went pretty much all around Australia. And he earned really good money. He had no living expenses because he'd come home to us or go to his girlfriend's. And everything's covered when you work for a company like that. So he was able to save a lot of money. And with those 5 years, he'd had the girlfriend then for about 4 years. She was from Cairns, so he wasn't seeing her that often. And he was just keen to be settled, and he loved country life. They had motorbikes, and they could just the freedom to go and do whatever they wanted. So he wanted to come home and buy a house and start an apprenticeship. So he made that happen, and he lives 2 streets down, and he's quite happy here. Whether or not they'll stay forever, who knows, but for now, he's brought the girlfriend down. They've been in the house over a year now, and he's very happy, and he works locally. And the other one, the youngest one, finished school last year, but he'd started a school-based apprenticeship as a diesel fitter with a local business. So he just carried over to that when he finished school. So this is his first year working full-time. But it's funny, if we go to Adelaide when he was younger, he'd be in the back of the car whinging about the traffic and, oh, this is why I hate the city. Oh, take me back to Jamestown. So I think he's probably in here for the long haul. And since then, my parents have also moved from Inverell in New South Wales to Clare to be closer. In the midst of COVID, they managed to do that with great difficulty, but, they're getting on, and they didn't have any family close over that way. So they're here too. So we sort of feel like we've and my husband's from South Australia, and I spent my first 6 years of life here as well. And so we sort of feel like we've gone full circle, and we're settled here for now and quite happy. Oh, no, I would agree with that statement, especially for me, because full of self-doubt as always. But at the same time, I don't know if it's the Gemini in me. One side's very confident, the other one not so much, and yet they battle it out all the time. So in one way, I'm completely terrified of something. The other side of me is like, you can do this, and so you do, and it's fine, and that you do grow in confidence. But small steps, I think, is a whole lot more manageable, and probably easier on the brain just to not leap in too much. But in saying that, I guess the first business I had when we moved over here was a massive step to go from having never had a food business to organising a food van to be built and have all the equipment sent to the guy to have it fitted in, and hoping it all fitted. And it couldn't have gone any better. So that was a massive leap. And I guess that gave me the confidence. And I got such good feedback out there, and the business went so well that it was a huge confidence boost, which I guess helps you grow as a person. And, that led to the next business, and that went really well. So, and the underlining theme there, I guess, was my passion for food and for feeding people and presenting it nicely, and the whole kit and caboodle which is still where I'm at today. So, yeah. Getting the food van sorted was just a wing and a prayer, and it all came together, and we moved over here and it was shipped over. But the next few days going around town trying to organise supplies and things, had a little bit of a hiccup with the local bakery in terms of, because I needed to organise bread rolls and pies and things like that. And I don't know how happy they were about an outsider coming in, and I felt a vibe And I had people say to me, oh, I had a friend that thought about doing that out there. And there seemed to be a little bit of an undercurrent of animosity there, which, didn't take too long to overcome. But so that was probably one hurdle with regards to having the flow there. But that was the only small glitch, and it was, quickly overcome. And that went well. I guess each step, like the next business being the cafe, not really any major hurdles there. And then the transition into the catering that I'm doing now there was no conscious step to take that. I was asked by a friend, the same friend who encouraged me to buy the cafe, friend who doesn't cook, who is always asking me to cook for her. So the irony there. But I think having somebody have confidence in you and to give you the encouragement and a little push that you may not give yourself is good motivation. And that led me to the catering business now. And, every time I have a booking, she's so encouraging and, talks me through any minor meltdowns I might have and, just keeps me on track. And it is going really well. And my confidence grows after each booking. And, I get really good feedback and have yet to have any major disasters. So fingers crossed it's all going to stay on track and keep on growing. No, it didn't hinder me. I wish in a way I had the forethought to do something like that. Just, I'm sure there's things that I could have learned, not necessarily maybe with regards to the cooking, but possibly with regards to organisational skills, prepping, business management. I think that side of it I would have found very helpful. I think I would have gotten very frustrated with the cooking side of it because I'm guessing they would start you from basics. Being a wife and a mother of 3 kids, you cook every day. It's just, even if it's not your passion, it's still something you do and you're probably quite good at it. So I think that would have done my head in a little, but I still think it possibly was something I would have enjoyed. But funnily enough, just when you said that, it took me back. I was offered a chef's apprenticeship when I was in year 12 from friends that had moved to Bathurst that had a restaurant. And it's funny how things could have panned out. It would have been the food path that side, and then it ended up being the way I went anyway. But but yes, a course wouldn't have probably gone astray. Being a venue, you don't know what the inquiry is going to be and what kind of event it is going to be, but we really seem to have honed in on the boardroom catering. So I guess that's become one little niche that we're trying to really master, and it's going really well. But that's not to say we're open to anything else that comes along. And yeah, it's been very varied. I guess if I wasn't working through the venue, and I still do private catering. I've been asked to do some things separate to the venue out there. And yeah, I guess once again, you couldn't say you're sticking to this little niche because you might miss out on other opportunities. So just go with the flow.